Hello, everyone. We will get started in just a couple of minutes. Just give everybody a chance to get out of their last meetings, and then we'll get going. Hang tight. Thanks. All right, we are going to get started. Thanks everybody for joining today. This is our automating vulnerabilities remediation with Bacon's newest capabilities. This is the week that we are coming out with 5.2, so it's very exciting because all the stuff we're going to show you today is stuff you can have here like any day now. So this is a really, really good time. I'm currently using this version actively internally, and it's pretty great to be able to pre-approve patches and schedule and do a great many other things. So we're going to talk about those. We're going to get around to that in just a minute. Dave's going to show it off. And we're also just going to kind of get through some of the basics right now. So why don't we start with introductions, Dave? My name is John Mercado, the co-founder and CTO of Bacon. And joining me today is Dave Adekoya, one of our senior engineers and an excellent demo guy. Thanks for joining me, David.
Always happy to be here.
Fantastico. We'll do a little housekeeping as usual and get that stuff out of the way. If you haven't used GoToMeeting before for a webinar, it does have a few cool little features in it. There's a place to ask questions. Feel free to put those in during the webinar. Also, we're going to launch a couple polls. So when they pop up on your screen, just answer those quickly, and then they will go by rapidly. We'll just do a couple of those in a minute here. And also, you'll be able to do a survey at the end, and that's really, really important for us. So we really appreciate you filling that out. We will leave enough time, so that's a nice, easy, short survey. So we can do these better and better. So thank you for that in advance. Also, visit our YouTube channel. Just search for Bacon Unlimited on YouTube, and you'll find it. And we have 110 or so Bacon Bits videos up there that are all, they're good if you want to kind of see a feature and how it works. They're all just usually a couple minutes long, and they can be great if you're getting used to the software or if you're considering the software. So that can be really helpful as well. So with that, I think we're probably ready to jump into the polls. And if you would, Lane, please launch the first poll. All right, which capability is most important for your organization? The vulnerability remediator, dynamic views and groups, user notification service and deadline jobs, out-of-date software identification, recurring patch schedules. And user notification deadline jobs means that you can set somebody to reboot their machine or install patches and reboot their machine by a specific date, and it reminds them it's very friendly. So if you don't know what that is. So get that one filled out here, and then we'll move on to just one more, and then we'll go past those. So far, vulnerabilities is pretty high, and the recurring patch schedules is the highest. User notification is third. Okay, yeah, so they came in pretty close, actually. and we will be talking about those things today. So that's good. We'll go to the next poll here. And this is an easier one. What operating systems do you support? We just like to get a good tally of, are mostly Windows jobs, or do we have people that have cross-platform and so on and so forth? So go ahead and throw that in. It's like everybody's got Windows and about a quarter of people have Mac and or Linux. So we will let those tallies wrap up here. And that's where it came in. So mostly Windows, but some Mac and Linux as well. Excuse me. All right. With that, we'll move past the polls here, and we'll talk a little bit about what Bacon is from a high level for those who've not seen it before, and then we'll jump right into the demo. So we'll just keep this moving along at a good pace and save your time here. So Dave, if you wouldn't mind bring up the next slide, I will kind of just use it as a guide here. You can see vulnerability remediation is one of the biggest things we do, but by all means, it's not where we started. So endpoint management is a broad set of things, right? It's the ability to remote control sort of a one-to-one on machines. That's built into Bacon. It's patching and third-party software patching. We have that. It's rolling out software. So being able to roll out any kind of software to machines, no matter where they are, big files, small files, multi-files. We do that in the easiest way that I've ever seen. It's getting real-time information, and in fact, being able to enact jobs in real time. There's no, you put it in as a policy, and then in hours or days later, things happen. You actually get to see things happen in real time. It's very, very powerful. Lots of visibility and monitoring capabilities, so you know exactly what's on your machines, in almost up to the second kind of way. And then also you can export all that data, and then you can set monitoring rules so you can get alerted if things go down or run out of resources or certain services or daemons go down. All those kinds of things can be dealt with in there. And we are fully cross-platform Windows, Mac, and 8 flavors of Linux. So, why use Bacon? Well, I think the real idea is that we do all of these things in one central place, and we can manage machines no matter where they are. And the software is very security focused. And in the modern age, it's really important that you can deal with patches and vulnerabilities and configuration changes that are needed to keep your machine secure. And Bacon does all of those things. Then the ability to monitor that and then be able to troubleshoot that. If you do have an odd machine that's behaving strangely, you can remote into it. You can work with the end user, or you can do some backstage kind of functions where you can fix things without interfering with the end user, and that can be really helpful also. So all of that is inside Bacon. And one of the things that people wanted, they said, the patching's really easy, but I have a lot of groups computers, and I really want to set, I want to approve sort of like maybe security patches on Windows or critical security patches, and I want those to happen on a schedule. So it's like I want all the benefits of automatic Windows update, but without some of the shortcomings, because even if you know all of the group policy switches that affect Windows updates, you know that you can't control certain aspects that would protect your environment and your machines from, well, let's just say Microsoft's beta testing, right? So when Patch Tuesday comes out and there's a new critical security patch and you install it, sometimes the machine blows up, right? What if you could just wait 3 days, right? Automatically. Well, that's something that you can set with us, and that's going to give you the ability to have sort of like automated updates plus. And so that's our new feature in 5.2, or one of the main aspects of it. You can also do job chaining, so not just patching, but the ability to do pre and post things maybe before a patch job, like turning off a service and turning it back on after, with all kinds of dependencies and stuff. Again, you don't have to use that, but it can be really helpful in some odd situations. And we want to make this tool capable of sort of dealing with all of those outside cases, as well as just kind of the common stuff. So with that, Dave, I think it's time to hand it over to you and have you show off the software a little bit, give people a sense for what these things are, and then maybe at the end we could talk a little bit about what's coming.
Okay, certainly can do. Let's go ahead and get started. So as John said, this update is going to give you a lot of automation that's kind of at your fingertips. And in the last webinar, we went over how to just do like standard patching using this automation, I'd like to kind of take a little bit of a security focus too as we look at this, because it's not immediately clear that this can actually impact that side of things too and make the security maintenance a lot easier as well. So with that, I want to start over by just taking a quick peek at our vulnerabilities here. So vulnerabilities, we have both CVEs, of course, that's native in the agent. Then we have tie-ins to Tenable as well. This lets you kind of see like what are all the issues that have been found in your environment. This is our Tenable compliance view here. And it lists like a ton of different things that we're able to fix. Now, if you've done this kind of work, you'll be aware that a lot of this is really just going to be keeping things up to date, be it keeping the operating system up to date or keeping software up to date, all that kind of good stuff. So we're going to see like what all of our automated scheduling looks like in Bacon, but I want to just make it clear that this scheduling is available for a lot of different features, including those in our remediator. So here, again, as I said, most of this is just updating things. So if I wanted to go through here and patch things, I can actually make these patches part of our standard automation. So it's possible to actually completely skip this UI and just have this up to date in general. Over in configuration, this is going to be a little bit more nuanced to where you're probably making config changes. Not always something you can automate, but we can certainly do like a mass push and save you tons of time there. And then when it comes to package updates, this you can automate as well. Using our manage package feature, we're able to have your server, let's say, pull down the latest version of Firefox and then routinely push that, let's just say every Friday of every week, right? Just to make sure all of your machines are up to date if they're not already set to auto update. So even through these kind of features, if I was going through and trying to patch this, you can actually assign these to those regular schedules we're going to take a look at, where you can go through here and set these on your regular cadence. Maybe you have a schedule to kick off every Friday with all the maintenance tasks, and you can throw this on that schedule. Now, what that ends up looking like in a normal environment, what I'd kind of recommend here is if we go to patching and approvals, this is kind of the new feature that's coming up here, you're able to actually approve patches by category. And so there's all kinds of different categories for security. I know Windows has a couple, Red Hat's got some too. So you can actually automate these critical patches and these security patches. I think there's also another category for critical too. You can actually automate these on a very routine schedule. In this case, it's set to immediately. So the second this patch comes out, when Bacon finds it, it's going to install it on those machines. But if you have a more regimented patch schedule or just need some separation or some control over when it's getting pushed out, what you're able to do is actually assign it to one of those schedules we looked at earlier. So if I go here to my schedule list, you'll see we have all kinds of different schedules. They have different frequencies. It can get very granular. But what I like to do is actually look at the calendar view. So this shows us what our actual schedules are in a very intuitive UI. If I look for the month, you can see you can have them span a couple days. They can just be multiple occurrences over certain days. You can skip some. And the kind of benefit here is, again, this does take into account most of the jobs you're able to push through Bacon. And so if I look at this like Brett test one here, what you'll see is kind of our configuration screen. So you can pick when this starts, when it stops, the actual frequency of how it repeats. You can see it gets really granular here. And then when it comes to jobs, as John said, we're also able to do jobs based on the result of others. So here you could do a patch install followed by a reboot, followed by installing proved patches. Like there's not really a ton of limits of what you're able to do here. It's just down to creativity and what you need. So there's tons of flexibility here. So you can kind of do what I call set and forget, where we get all the safest and most secure configurations. We put those in automation, which then frees us up to react to any kind of new things, projects, emergencies, you name it. John, that's kind of what I wanted to get across here. The other side of this too is, as you see here, we do have this built-in endpoint reboot, but something new to this version of Bacon is you're also able to just easily schedule these reboots on machines without any fuss. So if I just made a couple quick changes, excuse me, on a machine, I can very easily go through our standard UI and go to reboot here. And that in the previous version of Bacon would just automatically say, hey, are you sure? And then reboot the machine. But in this side now, it gives you the scheduling UI. So you're able to, again, if you want to set up a regular reboot, you could do that. Or in this case, if I want to just reboot this guy, I can just do a quick at a certain time, queue this up, and then this machine's going to get that reboot command at that time. So it can be super simple. You can also involve the end user if these are workstations. And so with my schedule with deadline feature, what ended up happening is it'll essentially tell the user, hey, you have a requested reboot. You have until this deadline date to reboot, or we'll reboot for you. Do you want to schedule a time now? Do you want to reboot right now? That kind of thing. So from the IT side of things, we're able to, or go ahead.
I was going to say, I particularly love that feature because a lot of times you might have already installed patches, and you can also do this deadline feature if you want to do the whole patch job. In other words, you really don't want to interfere with the end user's machine, and you want to run, some patches and say, I want them to decide when's best for them to do the whole install reboot cycle. So you can do that, but sometimes there's a lot of patches out there that you just want to get them installed, and you can do that on Windows without rebooting, even though to complete the patch you will require a reboot. We've replaced the built-in Windows notifier because it's, well, let's just say it's inconsistent about when it pops up. So we've
Mhm.
added our own notifier that will essentially let an end user know, hey, you've got patches that are, or a pending reboot from patches. Please schedule a time before, let's say Friday at 5 or 6 or 7, whatever you set. And they will have to do it by that time, or the reboot will happen automatically. And they'll be notified multiple times. Unless they schedule it to happen, they can defer. So they can defer for an hour or for a day, and it will come back and bother them after that time frame. The idea there is just to make people a little bit happier. So that's part of our agent system, and it really, really helps keep things up to date. And we didn't have the ability to do that deadline with the reboot before 5.2. 5.1 was the where we came out with the schedules, and the is where we came out with the first deadline jobs for patches, but not for just standalone reboots. So just want to make that clear for anyone who didn't know that. And back to you, Dave.
Yeah, actually, if I could jump in, there's a little bit of a meta knowledge here I have that kind of makes me smile, which is you guys may not know this, but John actually does the patches for Bacon very often. And so prior to this feature, he was sending out little like message prompts that would do it. He would hit us up on Teams, and he would basically have to chase all of us around, me especially, to get my computer restarted. So he definitely knows of what he speaks. This is something that he's dealt with as well. So I think you're also enjoying the feature in your own product
I
because
am
it does help
definitely
us
enjoying
out
the
as well.
feature. I eat my own
Me
bacon,
too.
as they say. So I very much so believe in using it every day. And it just makes things easier to kind of get things done in this way. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
Dave, did you have anything else you wanted to cover?
That's mainly what I was here for. What else
Okay,
you
well,
got?
I think maybe just for a minute, since we've got a few more minutes, I like to leave, the last 10 or at least 7 minutes for people to be able to do the survey real quick. But I did want to let people know kind of what's coming. So with the release of 5.2, we are hot on working on 5.3. And the things that are coming are AD groups. So the ability to make a dynamic group in Bacon using Active Directory groups. So that way, if you have certain machines that are in a particular site and you want to patch those, you won't have to make a group of things in that site, which isn't terribly hard today. You can usually do it by IP or something like that. We have a lot of categories, but you can actually do it just directly on AD, and that'll be really helpful to just match to groups maybe you've already made. So that's one that's being added. The other that's exciting is the ability to do consent for people to get on the remote screen. We do already have the ability. We have a chat screen in remote. So if I was going to log into Dave's computer, I can actually send him a chat message ahead of time that pops up a nice web-based chat screen from Bacon and says, "Hey Dave, I saw you put in that ticket. I really want to jump on your screen. Is now a good time?" And as long as he says yes, then I'll go ahead and jump in there. Well, it wouldn't prevent me from getting in before. And so now we'll have the ability for you as a Bacon admin to turn on consent. And if you turn it on, then nobody would be able to log into someone's screen without them actually clicking a consent button. So that's an exciting thing that's coming as well. And then the other is just the expansion of our advanced third-party patching, third-party software patching to Mac OS, which is currently in development as well. So really exciting stuff coming. There's also some ease of use stuff coming, a more universal installer instead of the sort of two installer method that we have today, and a welcome screen with some really good get off the ground stuff that we'll be putting in there. So exciting times over at Bacon. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. We'll reach out to you and see what interest you have. If you want to check out the software in more depth, happy to do some one-on-ones with you. So that's kind of the long and short of it, I think, for today, Dave. If you don't have anything else to add, we'll end the webinar and let people fill out the survey. and get everybody back to their day.
Yep, I'm all good here.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining. We really appreciate it. And thanks in advance for filling out the survey. We'll end it here.